guys, welcome to my channel. Alright, so the 6th season of The Dragon Prince recently released, and I figured since I made videos on the previous 2 seasons, it's only fitting that I make one on this season as well. Spoiler alert, we are so back. I think this is like the best we've gotten since season 3, honestly. Now, there are a lot of moving parts this season, so I'm going to go through the basic events of each plotline one by one and give my thoughts along the way, and then give my overall thoughts towards the end of this video. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more videos from me. As a little refresher on things, last time we saw everyone, they were fighting trying to obtain Erebos' magical prison, with the good guys eventually winning and Claudia becoming more unhinged as her dad's revival spell seemingly comes to an end. Alrighty, so let's start off with what Cal and Rayla are up to this season, since they're the main characters, or the Chosen Two, as they're called now. Cal is becoming more and more paranoid that he is susceptible to Erebos' mind controlling him into doing like evil things, so he's determined to find a way to kill this dude once and for all. According to the stories, there is this like special magical sword that can kill a star-touched elf, but it's kept safe with the other star-touched elves. So him and Rayla suit up for another adventure across the lands to find this magical sword and hopefully kill Erebos once and for all. They take Erebos' pearl-shaped prison with them for convenience, leaving behind a fake in the vault back at the castle of Katalis, just in case anyone tries to come and steal it, which I really don't think anyone knows or cares about this dude besides Claudia, if we're being honest, so like, seems like a little extreme paranoid measure, but whatever, better safe than sorry. Side note, girl, why did they take the chronically sick baby frog with them? Y'all remember those baby glow toads they all adopted last season? Yeah, why did these two take the eternally sneezing one with them on this like little adventure through the frozen tundra? Oh my god. Poor little guy is gonna catch ammonia. They should have left him back at the warm castle where he is safe. Anyway, so they reach the towering home of the Star Elves and learn they traveled all the way here for pretty much nothing. The Star Elves tell them that the magic sword they're looking for does not exist and that there is no way to definitively kill a star-touched elf, because they are made up of stars, so if you kill the earthly body of one, their stars just shatter back into space and wait again to eventually realign and resurrect themselves. Which, that's iconic, I love the concept, but also, dang, we're really going to have to be guarding Erebos' prison for all eternity, huh? But Cal and Rayla also learn that they are basically a dyad in the Force. Welcome back, Rise of Skywalker! The Star Elves tell them of this prophecy about a warrior and a mage who will be of great service to the Star Elves and be rewarded with the heavens. Now, Rayla is like, babe, that is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. We just need to leave. While Cal, on the other hand, is like, now hold on, hold on. I want to feel special. Like, let's see what this is about, this whole prophecy thing. So they do the helpful task the Star Elves want them to do of clearing the eternal blizzard that surrounds their home so they can finally gaze out at the stars on moonless nights and, you know, basically feel in tune with the universe. As for their reward for doing this, do y'all remember back in season 4 when Rayla came across some coins that had like the trapped souls of her family? Yeah, we get some diamonds that can be used to help free those spirits and bring her family back to life, so we love that for her. So we say goodbye to the Star Elves and travel to another place to perform the ritual with the diamonds to resurrect Rayla's family. Unfortunately, one of the diamonds they got turns out to be a dupe, so instead of being able to resurrect all 3 of her loved ones, she has to pick one to leave behind. Or does she? During the ritual, she comes across the spirits of her parents and at first wants to use the 2 diamonds on their coins, but actually, they're at peace and ready to move on to the true afterlife. So it turns into a heartfelt moment of closure for Rayla as she finally gets to say goodbye to them. And she instead uses one of the diamonds to resurrect her fallen mentor, Runan. Which, do we remember him? I sorta, kinda remember him, but like, I never got attached to him, so I'm just like, okay, happy for you, but also like not feeling as moved as I think the story wants me to. And that's basically it for their section of the story this season. Rayla has gotten a happy resolution for this part of her story, while Cal watches Katalis go up in flames, so sad day to be him. We'll talk more about that later. I'm kind of curious, like, what they're going to do with the other diamond that they didn't use next season. Like, they have to use it at some point, right? Also, these two finally work out their relationship problems, which, thank God, this isn't a ship I'm overly invested in, but I'd rather have them tied at the hip and being all lovey-dovey than whatever was going on in seasons 4 and 5, with them being, like, awkward exes. Like, ugh, that was just the secondhand embarrassment I got in season 4. Oof. Now, let's move on to my preferred ship and talk about what's going on in the Sun Elf Kingdom with Janai and Amaya. So, last we saw, Janai's traitor brother finally stole the magical sun seed of their people, and ooh, my girl is understandably going through it. She's depressed, she's angry, she's doubting her ability to lead her people, and Amaya is like, babe, chill. We'll get through this. Let's stop worrying about your diphead brother and focus on getting married. Meanwhile, Janai's traitor brother, I always forget his name and do not respect him enough to learn it, so we'll just be calling him the traitor brother from here on out, is planning a full-on coup with an army and the alleged aid of the Sun Dragon King Sol Regim. At first, Traitor Brother is like, "Great Sun Dragon, I come with the Sun Seed to heal your eyes." And Sol is like, that's cute. But, how do you expect me to do anything if I can't fly? Fix my wings first before I consider helping your wimpy butt. Which I don't exactly understand why we can't just do both, but I guess there's a power budget with the seed, so we gotta prioritize. Then Traitor Brother decides to lead his little coup on the day of his sister's wedding. Now, when I saw this, it sealed the deal that I want him to die, 'cause what the heck are you doing? How are you so petty that you are going to try and steal Janai's kingdom on the day she's getting married? This couldn't have waited till tomorrow. You couldn't have taken this day to do some self-reflection and be like, dang, I'm really having to miss my sister's wedding because I'm trying to go to war with her. Maybe I should grow and change as a person. No, we couldn't do that because he's too self-centered to do that, apparently. So, yes, it is Janai and Amaya's wedding day, and it is so pretty and so cute, and they are both serving looks, because of course they are both mother after all, and their vows to each other are so lovely, and like leaders from other kingdoms are here, including Ezran, to represent Katalis, and everything is going so well, until it's not. They get word that Traitor Brother and his small army is coming, and Ezran volunteers to act as a middle boy to try to negotiate peace between the two sides. Janai is initially like, kid, sometimes we just need to behead people. Like, not everything in the world can be saved with love and peace. But because this is Dragon Prince, we always have to try and make friendship bracelets first. So Ezran is sent to try and broker peace. Now, Traitor Brother is so disrespectful and rude to him, and like mocking his status and whatnot. And yes, it is so deeply unserious for Katalis to actually have a 12-year-old as their king. I have always felt that for the entirety of the show, like it's just so unserious. But also, sir, you're just some little banished prince without the cool firebending powers. Mind your manners. Like, you have to mind your manners at some point. Anyway, 2 and 2 are quickly put together that this faux negotiation is just to act as a distraction for Traitor Brother to buy time and wait for the arrival of Mr. Sun Dragon Soul to come burn Janai's kingdom to the ground. With this information in mind, Ezran rushes to try and warn the good side army about what's about to happen, but a battle has already started by the time he gets there. Thankfully, Soul was just using Trader Brother to get his wings fixed and never had any intention of actually helping that loser. So he is nowhere to be seen during all of the fighting between the two armies, and Janai and Amaya's army comes out on top, as they should. Everything seems good, the Sun Elf Kingdom is safe it seems, we might have finally defeated Trader Brother at last, maybe, I don't know. Janai and Amaya are the prettiest newlyweds in all the land, like we are living for it. Until Ezran gets word of Katalis' downfall and, understandably, has a mental breakdown. Oof, it's also a bad day to be him right now. Now, let's slot that bit of information in here right now, because I want to talk about Ezran's role this season, and also the fall of Katalis before we get into what Claudia and Viren are up to. I've got to be honest, I really don't think the writers know what to do with Ezran anymore. For the last few seasons, he just doesn't seem to have any real importance to the plot, and I think I said this in my last two videos about the show, honestly. But I think it's on higher display than ever this season, cause yeah, he really just serves a supporting role in other people's storylines this time around. He's there a little bit at the start to approve Cal and Rayla's quest to destroy Erebos, and to send Soren off to find Zim's mom. He pops in midway through to throw Viren in jail, and he's there to act as an emissary in the Sun Elf Civil War plot. But he really doesn't have anything of his own going on this season. Yeah, I just feel like they don't really know what to do with him anymore, but they can't cut him out of the story because he's supposed to be part of the main trio alongside Cal and Rayla. I think I mentioned this last time, but his character was so tied to Zim in the first arc, but now that Zim isn't really important to the plot anymore either, neither is Ezran. You don't need him to be the comedic relief of the group anymore either, cause you've got Soren for that on the good guy's side, and Terry for that on the bad guy's side, so yeah. I don't know, I just hope they finally figure out what to do with him next season, and have him actually play an important role again. But let's touch on Katalis' end real quick. So, when Soul has his wings repaired, he sees this as his opportunity to finally get revenge on the human kingdom he feels wronged him in the past. So he flies over to Katalis and starts burning everything in sight to the ground. The people try to defend themselves, but it's really not looking too good, and soon a full-on evacuation is put into order. Afterwards, when Katalis is no more and it has been burned to the ground, Soul ultimately meets his end when Erebos comes to him and reveals a deep truth about the death of his lover. The truth sends Soul into a rage, so he tries to eat the person that Erebos is possessing, but ends up choking on the body and tries to breathe fire to get it out, but just ends up burning himself alive from the inside out. So, rip him, it's also not a good day to be Soul Regim. Now, let's move on to what Viren and Soren are doing this season. Let's start with mentioning Soren's mini plotline with Zim and Corvus to go find Zim's mom, the Dragon Queen. This goes well. They find the Dragon Queen healing from her injuries from the last season in this, magical mushroom kingdom with this, magical mushroom doctor guy. I'm going to hold off judgment for keeping the Dragon Queen alive until Season 7 comes out, cause maybe she'll do something really impactful then, but for right now, there's really nothing going on over there. Yes, the magical mushrooms were cute, but the whole mushroom doctor thing is really not important whatsoever at the moment. I don't know, maybe it'll become more important later, but yeah, I don't know. The biggest thing I got out of that mini adventure, honestly, was that I now ship Soren and Corvus together, and I'm hoping that this was the groundwork being laid out for coupling them up in Season 7, because I'm sorry, they're cute, they are. Let's move on to the meat of this section. Viren, unfortunately, wakes up from death once again, because of course he does. Girl, I am so tired of him waking up at this point. Just kill this man off once and for all already. His time in the sun is done. Let's focus on the new main villain instead of dragging along the old one for a redemption arc that he really doesn't even deserve. But anyway, Claudia has performed extreme blood magic to revive her father, and it's at this point that Viren finally realizes his crappy parenting has resulted in raising a monster. But instead of dealing with that and trying to guide her back to the light, he just ups and leaves like the stereotype of a dad going to the store for some milk. Like, damn, me and Claudia got something in common apparently. 'Cause I guess if one of your children turns out horribly, you can always just try to cozy up to the other one, it seems. So Viren drags himself to Catullus because he's had a change of character and wants to own up to his wrongs and accept whatever punishment he deserves. And of course, he gets thrown into the dungeons like he deserves. And I'm just gonna say, I just loved the little interaction between him and Ezran at that moment, with Boy King saying, "Are you here to beg for mercy?" And Viren's trembling and puppy eyes being like, No. And then the retort of, "Good, because you don't deserve any." Like, exactly. Tell him again, because that is exactly correct, and I love to see it. He does not deserve any mercy. Honestly, Ezran was nicer than I would have been to Viren, because not only did you kill my dad and plunge this kingdom into war trying to steal my throne, now you make me get out of bed in the middle of the night and stand in the cold, wet rain to deal with you instead of waiting till the morning to show up and plead guilty? Sir, you are just being too annoying at this point. Like, off with your head. So, anyway, Viren is now rotting in a dungeon as he should be, but he wants to take the time to try to reconnect with his son. And because Soren quietly wants closure on this whole thing, he has taken it upon himself to be the one to bring, like, Viren his meals and stuff. And Viren keeps babbling about, "I'm so sorry, I was so wrong, I treated you so badly, but even despite my evilness, you still turned out great." Now, obviously, to Soren, this all seems like a trick. Like, what do you mean you just randomly decided to have a change of heart, and now you want to apologize for all the years of abuse you inflicted upon me? Like, get out. You're lying, which, honestly, fair. That is a fair reaction. So, Viren decides to pour out his life story into a letter explaining why he originally became evil and what happened to the kid's mom. Gonna be honest, I just thought she died, to be honest. Like, I have not been wondering what happened to Soren and Claudia's mom whatsoever. Like, it has not crossed my mind once. Like, I'm sorry, I just thought she died. Anyway, so Viren explains the reason he originally fell to darkness was because when Soren was little, he was a very sickly child, and it got so bad to the point it was looking like he would die, honestly. So, as the new High Mage of Katalas, Viren was so desperate to use every single resource possible to bring his son back to health, including murdering his former mentor and stealing a very powerful relic to perform a powerful spell. Now, apparently, the healing spell required the tear of a mother or the tear of a parent, just a parent in, like, very desperate situation, very much grief and all that kind of stuff. So, Viren basically assaulted Soren and Claudia's mom to get her tears for the spell. And while the spell worked and Soren grew up healthy afterwards, Viren's wife was disgusted with him and decided to leave the family. And afterwards, Viren always blamed Soren for his wife leaving him, and that's why he was always abusive to him and favored Claudia. I'm gonna say this. I support the mom leaving Viren because, yeah, he was gross and assaulted her. Like, of course, leave him. However, she should have taken Soren and Claudia with her. Like, what do you mean you just left your children to be raised by this psycho evil magic man? Like, I'm sorry, I support her leaving, but she was wrong for leaving the kids in his care. She was. Anyway, when he wraps this letter up, it's basically Viren saying over and over how sorry he is, and nothing can change the past, and everything is his fault, and all this stuff. But here's the kicker of it all. Even after all of that, after writing this whole novella with his origin story, he ends up burning the letter. Yeah, none of this information ever reaches Soren. Sir, you are horrible at trying to rebuild the relationship with your child. But when the dragon attack on Catullus hits and Soren has to lead the defense because, he's like the head guard of Catullus and whatnot, he gets very desperate to protect the civilians and get them evacuated. So he comes to Viren and pleads with him to use dark magic one last time to help protect the people from the world falling down around them. Viren reluctantly agrees because, he's given up dark magic, he doesn't want to do it anymore, but for the sake of, making his child proud of him, he'll do it one last time. So he agrees and stabs himself in the heart to perform a spell that grants everyone within the city damage immunity for a few minutes so that everyone can get out of the city to safety. But he does not survive the battle. Hopefully. I wouldn't put it past the writers to revive him again, but this death does finally feel definitive, so let's hope. And I'm gonna be so honest, when Viren stabbed himself in the chest, got burned alive by Soul, and then had an entire building fall on top of him, I was just like that one Wendy Williams clip just yelling at my phone, "Die! Die! Die!" Die! 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 I'm sorry. He has overstayed his welcome by 3 seasons at this point, in my opinion. It's time to go. I don't know how this last act of goodness will affect Soren next season, but I hope they don't have him do a full reevaluation of his perspective about his dad and suddenly think he was a great man or something. Because he wasn't. I mean, even in Viren's good guy era, he still abandoned his daughter to wallow in her pain and darkness to get himself thrown in jail and maybe get on good terms with his son, because that seemed like the easier path of the two. Like, he's still not a good person. He's still not a good dad. Now, let's move on to the final plotline of this season revolving around Claudia. Her role this season is focused on her being on the precipice between light and dark. Like, this is her last chance to turn back now before she fully goes into darkness. So, we start with her having just revived Viren from the dead. She looks horrible. Oh my god. Like, hair everywhere, eyes are pits of blackness. She's covered in some creature's blood, like head to toe covered it in the creature's blood. Like, ooh. She apparently cut off her leg to do the spell. Like, she's a mess. She's a mess. She looks a disaster. And when her dad's reaction is like, "Dang, you're crazy. I'm out." She understandably has a massive mental breakdown. Cause, okay, look. Yes, she's getting more unhinged and evil. Yes, she's ultimately in the wrong here. But also, if I cut off my leg to bring someone back from the dead and they reacted the same way as Viren did, I too would be massively confused and fall to my knees crying and wailing, cause, well, what did I do all this for? Like, So, I get her reaction, like, I understand where she's coming from in this situation. Anyway, so she runs off into the forest and leaves Terry behind to cool off, and babes, the scene where she does eventually come back to him and she's like ready to get all cleaned up and get her act together and stuff, and like Terry takes care of her was so intimate and sweet. Like, he gently bathed her in the river, carved a new enchanted wooden leg for her, cut and styled her hair when she asked him to. Like, I love scenes in romance where one person helps the other person get back on their feet, and the other person is like truly grateful to have them by their side. Like, I'm sorry, it's cute, it's just cute, I like it. Aww. Now that she's feeling better, Claudia ultimately just feels lost. Like, she's been going down this darker path in an effort to revive her dad, but when that goal is ultimately achieved, he's frightened by her and calling her a monster. So she's like, is it me? Am I the problem? At tea time, does everybody agree? And without even having Erebos' prison in her possession, she's questioning whether it's even worth it to hold up her end of the bargain she made with him. So, what does she do? She wants to go to Katalis to talk to her dad one last time and get his opinion on her, her choices, advice on what she should do next, and, what her life could become, all that. And we all know Terry's role by now. He's there to be her cute, supportive house husband. But by the time they get to Katalis, the city has been destroyed. It's the aftermath of the Soul attack, everyone is gone, everything is in ruin, and they end up finding Viren's body in the rubble. Their trip was effectively for nothing, and Claudia is at her most vulnerable emotionally right now. And who ends up appearing at that time? A therapist? No, of course not. It's Erebos. Yeah, so apparently when Claudia and Rayla went on their road trip to kill Erebos and took his prison with them, they ended up taking the fake pearl instead and accidentally left the real one behind. How that is something you could possibly mess up, I don't know. Like, bro, you should have checked that thing like 10 times to make sure you had the real pearl and not the fake one. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, that's on him. Going back to Cal and Rayla for a second, when Rayla was like, no, it's not your fault. You didn't do it. Erebos must have been controlling you. I was just like, girl, stop trying to coddle him. Yes, he should have checked the bag like 50 times to make sure he had the real one. This is his fault. I'm sorry. It is. Anyway, back to Claudia and Erebos' force projection to her. So, to sway Claudia fully into performing the spell that will release him from his prison, Erebos tells her his tragic backstory. Apparently, used to have a daughter that he loved and doted on so very much until one day she apparently broke some cosmic space law about giving magic to humans. So this high council of star elves ended up killing her. Well, shattering her mortal form and sending her stars back into the universe like we mentioned before. And this caused Erebos so much grief and pain to have his child ripped away from him, and also gave a little more context for why he got set on this path of evil, because he was understandably angry at the injustice of the other elves killing his young child over something that seems so very small. Assuming all of this is true, by the way, he could have just made all of this up to look relatable to Claudia. But he gives her time to think after telling her this story, and yes, she does want to release him because she does feel like he understands her grief now. And Terry's like, love, he's using you. Let's not. And she's like, okay, yes, and? I don't have much else going on for me at the moment, if you haven't noticed. So, yes, she does end up performing the spell that sets Erebos free from his prison, and bestie, he's huge! I was not expecting Mr. 30 feet tall over here. I was agreeing with the reactions that Claudia and Terry were giving. I was just like, oh my god, that's a shock, that's a surprise. And that's where the season ends, with Erebos being free and the forces of the good guys being significantly weaker. Uh-oh, not good. Not good at all, love. By the way, should also mention, remember how I said that Cal and Rayla got 3 magic diamonds to revive the dead, but one of them was a fake? Yeah, the other one was apparently in Viren's magic staff and used in the spell to free Erebos from his prison. I'm so sorry. That whole thing also gave me such Rise of Skywalker vibes. It was so that scene where Rey and her friends were on the moon where the Death Star wreckage was at, and the dagger she was carrying conveniently pointed to exactly where the Sith Wayfinder was when lined up with the view of the wreckage from the point of view of where she stood on the beach. The whole thing with the real diamond needed to perform the spell to bring back Erebos, with it being inside Viren's staff, gave me such that energy. Just the exact thing we need to move the plot forward is conveniently right here with us under our nose, and it just so happens that we don't need to expel any more energy to go find it. And yes, while I ultimately do love that movie, I can still accept that it has some very unserious points in it, just like this moment was. So, what did I think of this season overall? I actually really enjoyed it and think it's by far the best season of this whole Erebos arc. We actually seem to have a real plot this season instead of just like fumbling around and buying time until the end, like in the previous two seasons. I liked the character journeys for Cal and Rayla this season, that we finally resolved the whole soul coins thing and got our act together with their relationship. And I didn't really mention it earlier just because, but I felt like the thing about Cal's brushes with dark magic actually had some legs under it this season. It felt more grounded this time around instead of just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool and spooky if he went evil? Ooh, maybe someday it'll happen. Like how it felt in seasons 4 and 5. And also, the Star Elf Tower that they traveled to was so freaking beautiful. Like, it was so pretty. I want to live there, even though I know I would freeze to death. Like, it's so pretty. I'm such a sucker for, like, ice aesthetics, crystal aesthetics, all of that kind of stuff. Like, I already talked about my feelings regarding how Ezran and Zim are used these days, same as the last two seasons, directionless. I hope that'll change. I'm so happy we finally got to see Amaya and Janai's wedding! It has been something I've been looking forward to for multiple seasons now, and I do think it was worth the wait because it was so pretty and cute! The Sun Elf Civil War could have drawn on a bit longer, honestly. Like, it seems like it's already over, even though we've been hyping it up for two seasons now. Like, I don't know, but it kind of seems like it's over. I don't know. And yes, I know most likely in the end we'll get some sort of redemption for Janai's brother and happy family coming together, blah blah blah. But honestly, I just want her to kill him at this point. Like, I'm sorry, I do. Put him on the chopping block. Especially after trying to lead a coup against the Sun Elf Queen and then trying to hold the King of Katalis hostage. Like, I think he's more than earned the death sentence for his crimes at this point. Like, he's committing war crimes against two nations. Now, look, if you feel like Viren was sympathetic and redeemed, cool. I respect your opinion. I still say that man needs to get off my screen and go meet his maker down below, and like I said before, I understood and sympathized with where Soren was coming from regarding that whole situation. And I just hope he got what he wanted in the end, because it doesn't seem like his dad is coming back. Well, hopefully anyway. Who knows, maybe he'll wake up in the rubble at the start of next season and once again run after his kids calling out, I've changed! I've changed! Ugh, whatever, anyway. But yeah, I just hope Soren got what he wanted out of that whole thing. Claudia's storyline was definitely the one that got the least amount of focus this season, but it still felt like we pushed her character forward a good deal, so it's fine. I liked that we had her take a step back for a bit and gave her one last chance to walk away from it all before she goes full crazy dark witch. Now, next season, I do want her to go full unhinged psycho evil witch. No more crying, no more good intentions. Make everyone fear you even more than Erebos himself, Queenie. Like, go off. I want her evil next season. I want her unhinged. I want her to be psychotic. I want her to be rampaging, villainous, dark, evil witch, murderous supreme. But yeah, I really enjoyed season 6 of The Dragon Prince, and it got me pumped up to watch the next season in a way I honestly haven't felt since watching season 3. It feels like we're finally back on track with the show, and perfect timing too, because we're heading into the endgame with this arc. And that's it for me. If you enjoyed this video, then please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that cute little bell so you know when I upload next. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this latest season of The Dragon Prince. Did you like it? Did you hate it? I'm curious. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.